You either took a risk and died, or you became famous. Last week I finished Flowers of Esthelm, the third book in The Wandering Inn by Pirate Abba, and I'm definitely still invested at this point. Like, I really enjoyed this entry, and so far The Wandering Inn just continues to fly up my rankings when it comes to book series. And I'm growing more and more sure that this will be like an all-time favorite by the time it's complete, which is probably like a decade from now, is how long it'll take me to finish all these books. But anyways, that's not what's important. What's important is the fact that this is a really good entry from The Wandering Inn. Although I do have to admit it is a step down from Fanfare. But also, it's kind of hard to live up to Fanfare. That was like a genuine 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, that was a really, really good book with a lot of really great moments. And Flowers of Esthelm, while it's still a good book, it's a bit more relaxed than Fanfare. Fanfare was very epic fantasy, and this is definitely more slice of life. And another thing that's like different in this book is the shift in focus. Pirate Abba is really starting to expand rapidly with Flowers of Esthelm. We get new points of view. We get an entirely new character, Lakin, who is from the human world, our world, the real world, whatever. And he takes up the majority of this book. There are other characters who do get introduced here, and we start seeing more points of view. We get to see more from Rags. We get to see some Lionette POVs, but I think Lakin is kind of the main character in this one. And he's also a character that I don't entirely love, which kind of holds me back from ranking this higher than I have it. I think it's better than the first volume, but not as good as Fanfare. Anyways, the plot here is a bit more relaxed. We get some, chapters where Aaron is in a different part of the world now. We get Ryoka kind of doing her own thing. But again, the focus really here is on Lakin, who is this blind guy from our world, and he's transported, like Aaron, like Ryoka. And he is, he decides, hey, I'm going to become an emperor. That's what my class is going to be. And he is mostly hanging out with this half-troll character, and it's a lot of them just kind of hanging out, being friends, and figuring out what his class actually is and what it does. And while I think the class itself is very interesting, and I like that part because I think it's kind of a broken class, or it will be, Lakin, I'm just not sure about, and there's no good reason for me to not be sure about him. Because he seems like a genuinely nice guy, but he just doesn't have like the charisma of Eren, nor like the kind of fun compunction of Ryoka, if that makes sense. And I don't know, it kind of felt like this entirely other point of view. And while I didn't dislike it, I'm just kind of wondering at this point how his character adds to the overall story, if that makes sense. Like it's not bad, I'm just not totally in love with it. Besides that though, there is still a lot to love. I've become a big fan of Rags and the Goblin Adventures. That is really fun in this. And there's also a lot of Tauren chapters in this, the skeleton. And there is a section in here. I know that I said that this is more of the slice of life book, but there's like a 5-chapter section in this, which is like 5 hours long, 6 hours long, something like that, like a novella length part that is straight up like borderline like dark fantasy, like grim dark fantasy violence involving Tauren and a city of the undead. It is such a good part of this book, and I'm trying so hard not to spoil it, but like if you've read this entry, you know what I'm talking about. That section blew me away. The florist chapters blew me away. Like it was such a huge tonal shift from what was happening in earlier in this book to that section, but also it felt very necessary, and I really, really liked it. I felt like it was such a nice change of pace, and I really thought those moments were cool. We also get more Horns of Hammerod action in this one, like way more, And again, they're more on the epic fantasy side of the Wandering Inn, and I really like them kind of forming as a team. I like them exploring the dungeon that they do. I like them overcoming the odds that they do. And I felt that was very rewarding to read. And especially now that I'm like deep into Winter Solstice, which is like the second half of this volume technically, there's certain payoffs from this volume, from this book, that happened in the second book that are really nice to see. And I'll talk about that book then. But again, like at this point, I feel like if you've gotten this far into the series, you are either committed or you're not. Like, there's no way you get through the first 2 volumes, which are like a collective over 100 hours on audio, and this one, which is another 35, something like that, and you're not like into it. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I really enjoy it, but I don't know how to sell it to people. Like, I really like the characters in this. The world building is really fun. The plot, while it's not as good as Fanfare, is still really good. The character moments in this are rich, they are detailed, they're just really, really just satisfying to read. There are so many moments in this that had me grinning, that had me upset, that had me sweating, hoping that things would work out for characters, and when they did, it felt very triumphant. And what's really fun about this book is the fact that, like, even the more slice of life moments, like there's an entire section where Aaron teaches people how to do Shakespeare plays, which don't exist in this world, are incredibly rewarding and very fun to read. Like, my favorite sections of these books are not always the epic fantasy. Sometimes it's the very small character moments. It's the moments of characters doing something new in their world, of characters being introduced to things from our world that are completely different from theirs, and those moments really stand out. And the way that they mesh with the epic fantasy, the way they mesh with the goblin armies fighting one another, or Torin becoming like a skeleton knight or whatever, works really, really well, because there's a little bit of everything for everyone in this book. I feel like if you like the slice of life stuff, if you like just hanging out with characters, there's a lot of that. But if you like epic fantasy, there's also a lot of that too. So it's just very well balanced. I thought the way the plot progresses here was really solid. I love the characters here. There were some very serious emotional moments that I thought were very well told and very well executed. And it's just a good entry. It's just a really good entry. I'm not sure what else to say. Like an 8.8 out of 10. I think it's slightly better than the first volume of The Wandering Inn, but not quite as good as Fanfare. But I'm excited to see what happens in Winter Solstice.